Steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline!
Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
Strap yourself in and get ready.
And here we go!
The leaders in fantasy football are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now listening to the Insight NFL Show with your hosts, Guns and Maverick.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies, them, theys. How we going? We're back in for the last episode of the Insight NFL Show. It's been a long year. It's been a really good year. It's probably been a sad ending now that it's all done. I'm already craving the next fantasy football matchup in my sleeper app, but there's nothing there on my app that shows who I'm playing next. So that makes me a bit disappointed. But Guns, you're in us for the grand final show. We've been here all year, mate. How'd you go? How you going? What's fantasy football to you at the moment, mate?
I don't know about you, but I've come away from this season empty-hand, empty-hand on the trophy front. I'm choking up just talking about it. I have. I made. I believe it was 5 championships, and injuries really took their toll, man. There was a few.
5.
0-5. Now, let me break this down. I had to start Raheem Blackshear in 3 leagues in my championship week. That's how grim we're talking when it comes to the end of my season. All these super teams that I built up slowly dwindled away due to, restings, injuries, people being shut down, people being benched. I know I lost a couple of quarterbacks. Jameis Winston, he was one of the key parts of my mid-season push for the championship, only to fall away right at the fantasy playoffs. Streaming Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Oh, there's a league where I started Raheem Blackshear, Cooper Rush, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and gee, I got thumped. So if that doesn't say a lot about how this season finished for me, then I don't know what does, to be honest.
So, in other words, that you're happy to see the end of this football season and have a bit of time off and just recoup from your losses, huh?
Bring on rugby league. That's pretty much the summary.
All right. Well, mate, I went a bit more positive than you. I'm in 7 leagues myself. I made 2 grand finals, and I won 2 grand finals. So I was 2 from 2 in grand final week. 1 league I went back-to-back in a dynasty league, back-to-back. So, mate, I'll be up there for a while in that league too. So I'm looking to go for the old 3-peat. And in the other league, mate, was another dynasty league. We're in its 2nd year at the moment, and I must admit I did not expect to make playoffs and actually won the whole thing. So, pretty crazy how it all works out. But I must give a nice little shout out there to Brian Thomas, he's dragged me through. So I appreciate that, Brian Thomas. So tonight, Guns, we're going to be looking at probably just a review of the fantasy season as such. It's been a big year. We're going to go through our all bust team, so players that were drafted fairly high that have busted out. A few of those, but I've sort of dwindled it down a little bit. And we're going to look at our all value team as well, where, guys that went sort of mid to late rounds, even off waivers, have sparked up and have been every week starters too. So that'll be a nice little talking point there. I've got our my guys that we went through at the start of the year in our preseason, so we can review that, have a bit of a laugh about who our my guys were, if they failed or if they came up. I do have sleepers and bounce back plays that we did in the preseason. I only have my sleepers. You had a lot of chatter in the talk there, so I couldn't really work out who yours were, but I've got mine. And look, we can probably skip past that one too, to be honest, because my list isn't that great. And lastly, we'll bring guys in throughout the episode who have featured and helped through the background of the whole year and get them on the show and have a bit of a chin wag too. So, should we start with our all bust team, mate, to start off with?
That sounds like a good place to look at.
All right, so I've put a structure here put together for a QB, two RB, two wide receivers, a tight end, two flex positions, and a super flex. So that's pretty stock standard for super flex leagues. So at QB, I've put CJ Stroud as the QB1 for our all bust team. No surprises, is there?
I think he was definitely in the conversation, that's for sure. A couple of other guys that could have gotten it, but Stroud, what a letdown. Drafted as what, QB5 and finished
Yeah.
well below that.
Yeah, mate, I don't think he was in the top 20. I'm
Hmm.
just going to quickly check that myself, but I don't think he was in the top 20, which is very, very disappointing. He was drafted as a late end first round, maybe probably even a first rounder, but
In
uh,
Superflex.
in Superflex, yep. He ended up as a QB 18, so he's just snuck. So that's disappointing for CJ Stroud. RB, I've put in CMC, no surprise there.
Mm.
Real disappointment. You've taken him probably in the first couple of picks in the draft, and he hardly played. So that's fair. No arguments there, is there?
No, that is a proper bust.
RB2, I've put Travis Etienne. Now that's the epitome of disappointment. Played the whole year and was still shit. So he would be the biggest lemon of the year nearly. Travis Etienne, I reckon. You'd be taking him in the third round, third round, depending on where you drafted, and he flopped big time.
Alexander Madison finished higher on the season than Travis Etienne in PPR. In PPR, which is his strong suit.
You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if Amir Abdullah did the same thing. I know he
Amir
probably
Abdullah,
didn't.
remarkably close, RB38.
Yeah, well, there you go. That says it all, really, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
And Tank
um,
Bigsby was also RB36. So if one of them just got out of the way, the other would be amazing.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Well, it happened, and they were still pretty shit.
Yeah.
Now, wide receiver 1, I've put in Tyreek Hill, who's also requested a trade today. Not privately, publicly. Just wanted out. So he was drafted as a top 3 wide receiver. He busted out big time. So that's fair. And at wide receiver 2, I've put in Chris Olave, injury riddled. Had some sparks of some good weeks, but all in all, pretty crap.
Yeah, that was. I drafted a few too many shares of Chris Olave, and it did cost me quite a lot of uh, playoff appearances drafting Chris Olave this year.
Now I'm hopeful for him for next season. I really am. He might get some value in him next year. He might, be a 4th or 5th round pick. But this year, mate, disappointing. Really disappointing. But not as disappointing as the tight end of our all bust team, mate. No surprise, Kyle Pitts.
Oh,
Yeah, he's been a
that
bust for about 3 years now. But this year was the year that I thought he might take a leap forward and become a top 5 tight end. He went backwards.
I don't understand how although Kirk Cousins got benched, the QB play still improved this year, right? It still improved significantly on what Desmond Ritter was dishing up, right?
Yeah.
And then Michael Penix came in and he was pretty good too. And although it really was too little too late potentially for Kyle Pitts' season, there was no signs of life. Like, even if I'll get Kyle Pitts' stats up here, but like you could look back at um the 3 games or so he's played with Penix there. Where is he? Kyle Pitts. He's gone 1.7, 14.4, and 3.5. Like, he still sucked.
I mean, he had that one game-winning touchdown, which saved his day. So, look, whatever. But really bad, really
Mm.
bad on Kyle Pitts' end. And look, in drafts next year, I'm not even bothering with him. I'm staying away at all costs. I don't even care if he's on the waivers. He's just burnt me too many times. Our first flex position, mate, I've gone Isaiah Pacheco. Now, we had a massive debate over the offseason with the old Derrick Henry Pacheco debate. Now, I'll give you a bit of a cop out on this one. Pacheco did go down injured for majority of the year. But again, we're talking about ADP and where you drafted him, and it would have been pretty high.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a bust. But again, asterisks next for the injury. So I'll let him off a little bit lightly on that one.
I get the bad feeling that his name's going to come up a fair bit tonight on my end, Isaiah Pacheco. I reckon I was pretty high on him in the preseason, but
Yeah,
time will tell. Time will
I'll
tell.
take an apology on that one, by the way. And our last flex position, mate, it was Debo Samuel. He's been a meme all year, Debo Samuel, but he did pop up late in the fantasy playoffs. Just when everyone sort of gave up on him, he did pop up just for the last gift of the year, saying, "I'm going to sit on everyone's bench and pop off." And that's what he did. So, mate, he can get stuffed, Debo Samuel. But all in all, pretty gross from Debo for majority of the year.
Oh, there was a league where my wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 were Chris Olave and Debo Samuel. And yeah, I had a losing record in that league, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, fair enough. Mate, honourable mention, and probably should be our Superflex. I've gone with Jordan Love in our Superflex position. He's been pretty disappointing. I expected him to be a top 5 QB coming into the league, to be honest. I thought he'd take that next step. He's been okay. They've been all right as a team, but fantasy-wise, I haven't been too impressed. But lucky Marvin Harrison survived this list, and I don't know how he survived this list, but he was very borderline too. So honourable mention to Marvin Harrison, because the only thing that kept him alive was being a rookie. Otherwise, he would have been firmly on this list.
Well, I found something interesting today where when you compare his rookie season to his dad's, like they're almost identical. Marvin Harrison Sr. had 64 catches for 836 yards and 8 touchdowns, whereas Marvin Harrison Jr. had 63 catches for 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. So it's like copy
Bruh.
and paste.
Yeah,
So
we're
I'd
talking
love to
Hall
know
of Fame
next year's
still.
stats. Oh, well, I'm just saying, I'd love to know his stats next year, and I might be buying low.
Yeah, and look, he may be a bit lower than he was coming into the year this year, so he might be like maybe a 4th rounder or something like, which could be extreme value. So that's going to be interesting to watch in the over the off season. It's going to be a long off season, but there's be a lot to talk about over the off season too. So, mate, we've just gone through our all bust team. Was there any honourable mentions on your end that you'd like to put in there, or is that pretty much spot
Well,
on?
I'm surprised that, you know, the absolute epitome of a my guy for me, Anthony Richardson, wasn't in the all bust team. Now, of course, and that's mainly because of the expectations I may have laid upon him going into this year. I'm surprised he didn't make the cut for that regard because where did he finish? I mean,
He had a really
he
good
finishes.
finish.
He had a solid finish.
Fantasy
He
points
had a
wise.
yeah, I suppose. He had 15.9 points per game this year, which puts him at QB 20. Now, take 2 or 3 off that, QB 17, QB 16 sort of thing, because you've got 1 game starters from week 18. Even if you look at total points, I believe Anthony Richardson comes in at QB 25. I am very surprised he didn't get thrown in on this list, but I'm
Yeah, it's
happy
probably
with it.
look, you're probably right. Him and Jordan Love, Marvin Harrison, take your pick. All 3 of them are probably involved in that. So, mate, I reckon we should get our first guest in for the night.
Yep.
Now we're gonna have to go in the triple box here, as what's
Ooh.
his name says on Red Zone. What's his
Oh,
name? Scott
Scott
Hansen.
Hansen.
Scott Hansen loves the old triple box, quad box. Let's bring him in. Let's get the quad box, the triple box. D-Fab.
Here we go.
Boys, how are we? What's going
Welcome
on?
in, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. How we doing?
First of all, mate, I'd like to say a thank you for joining in at Parts this year.
Yeah,
Pleasure as always. So I don't like your T-shirt that you're wearing, but
oh, mate,
yeah. But no, do appreciate you jumping in, mate. How'd you go in your leagues this year? Anything of note?
It was a roller coaster this year, mate. I started all right, and then was at I think 2-7. Came back, got myself a final spot, and then got pipped at the post by the eventual champion. I think I lost by a couple of points, and then had high score in championship week. So one of those years that got away from me. I just had a look at my at my draft board and realized that I drafted the RB 5, 9, 14, 11, and the wide receiver 8 and 16, and traded most of them away. So,
are we talking about our local league in Vista? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, yeah. So I traded away a winning team there. So
I'm glad you mentioned that Vista League, mate. I'm going to bring Guns in for this chat here.
Right,
so in our local league here, Guns, I was in a spot where I was losing games, pretty average scores on the line, and just a really mid-team. So DFAB came to me with an offer. I was in Japan. He got me when I was vulnerable. I had a few terps at the time. And I love a trade offer. I love a trade offer. But this one came to my attention. I've gone accept straight away. So I ended up trading away Garrett Wilson and Jimmy Gibbs.
Yep.
And I received Alvin Kamara, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Xavier Legette. This was in October 17, 2024. So we're talking, what's that, week 4, week 5? Where there's still a lot of promise for Marvin Harrison Jr. at the time. And Alvin Kamara at the time was an RB1, I think he was.
Yeah. He was top 3 at the very least.
Yeah, he was up there. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's the RB1. So, look, that may have saved DFAB's season because it didn't help me at all.
I unloaded at the right time.
Mate, that says a lot about your season trading for Xavier Legette.
It did. But at the time, I think it was Deontay Johnson on the bubble at the time.
Thielen had gone down and it was...
he
was showing signs.
It was there, but, mate, Legette's probably never again for me. He hasn't hit the 500 yards in the season, so that's him done for me.
Too busy fishing for crawfish, mate.
Yeah. But how'd you go, DFAB? Anything that you want to mention in terms of any shining lights that you drafted or that you want to talk about, or a great sleeper that you drafted?
Yeah, sleepers that I had my eye on that I wasn't able to get myself. I had a lot of faith in Cortland Sutton this year. I had faith he was going to bounce back. I like Bo Nix a lot. I say this very loosely because I am a fantasy fan, number one. That's my team, my fantasy team. But my second team is the Broncos. And watched a lot of Bo Nix coming in and love what I saw from him. And had a bit of faith that Cortland would pick his game up and he bounced back in a massive way and had a massive game today. Not that it meant anything, but had a really good game, which is a good way for him to kind of finish his regular season. Lad McConkey's up there. The biggest thing that killed my year was Anthony Richardson. I got drawn in as well, Guns. There's just so much promise, and it's bad because hindsight, you know that it was a horrible decision because he played like 4 games of pro football, like 4 games of football from high school. It's just the signs were there, but that was the story. At least for the first half of my year, that was the hole I dug myself in. I doubled down on it and I traded away before week 1 Joe Mixon and Deontay Johnson to get Michael Pittman because I wanted the handcuff. So I spent the rest of the year trying to dig myself out of that hole, but I still got to the finals and I was, as everyone in my home league knows, I was very active in the trade market and I got my way there. So
very active in the chat too.
I think
that's important.
I'm an addict, mate. I love it.
I think that's important. Is staying active in the chat, staying active in especially in trades as well. I mean, You may draft terribly, but you can always fix your season through waiver wire pickups, through trades. Correct. It's never over. Trading at the right time is a massive thing for fantasy football.
Yep, exactly right. And I was lucky that I had enough good pieces that I was able to make it through. But yeah.
Mate, I was the same. I fell into that Richardson hole as well. Guns really led me in. I value Guns as a very smart person. And, after a couple of beers, I was sitting in the drafts and go, fuck, Anthony Richardson there at 204 in the Superflex League. I have to take him. And this is the same league where
204 in your Superflex League. I would have taken him at 102 or 103 or something.
I know you would have. I know you would have. But the first thing I thought about when he was there was you. I can't believe your head came to my mind, but it did. And that was the league where if you finish last, you have to busk. Well, I was in the final 4, mate, for that reward. So somehow I won, got out of it. But nice. He you know what? He came up big. Got me out of it. Yeah. So I appreciate that, Anthony Richardson.
What can I say? I'm just a miracle worker.
You're claiming it, are you?
I'm claiming that. Yeah, that's a win for me. Winners win, and Anthony Richardson clearly a winner. So there you go.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, look, at the end of the day, mate, fantasy football is a bit of fun. We come in to have a bit of a good time as well. And look, let's be honest, between now and let's say, draft season, which is in like September.
September, October, yeah.
What the fuck are we going to do with that time?
Mav, I'll be honest with you, mate. That's why I'm on something a little bit stiffer tonight. I'm really sad that fantasy season is, for all intents and purposes, over. Like it's been a good one.
It has, and I know there's other sports out there like the AFL, NRL, and everything like that. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that hits differently than getting up Monday morning to watch some red zone, and edging yourself on the couch just to see a touchdown.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Oh, I'm going to quickly highlight a Anthony Richardson trade I did during the season in a dynasty
go.
league. So I've really cooked myself in this one. Although, admittedly, I think I would have lost no matter the outcome. I traded away Jordan Love and a 2025 first for Anthony Richardson and a 2025 second. Now, my first was pretty late and his second was pretty early. So the gap between the two of them was maybe 5 spots at most in the end. But, Jordan Love probably would have done better. But, that's okay. This was pre-benching Anthony Richardson as well.
Yeah.
Well, barely. I mean, they're both pretty
I was just saying Jordan Love was pretty average. So it was, look, it's not great. It's not great for you, but it's not too bad. He can still come good, maybe.
I still think there's life for him for next year. He learned a lot this
Yeah.
year. So I think next year he might be a bit better. He looked good at the second half of the year when he came back off the bench. So maybe not as a passer, but as a fantasy player.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But in Dynasty, I need long term. I need longevity. And I've just traded away a franchise quarterback in Jordan Love for a borderline starter in Anthony Richardson just because he runs the football a little bit.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh, well.
That is true. But no, thanks for the year, DFAB. It's been awesome. Jumping in when required, mate. So I appreciate you jumping in and cracking in and having a go and keeping us alive. So appreciate that.
Absolutely. And hope to see you guys again soon.
Easy, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, boys. Cheers.
All right, Guns. So we have got, I like to say the lobby, right? We do have Mullen sitting in the lobby. We'll bring him in next. Now, just a little secret here, mate. He is a Bills fan, so he'll be up and about.
I'll ask him about a trade offer I got sent in a Dynasty comp. He'll be interested.
You can also probably ask him about how you went in the Dynasty of Insight too. He might mention that too. But anyway, let's bring him in, mate.
Don't tell me he won.
No, he didn't. But let's bring him in. Here he is.
G'day,
Mullen.
gents. How's it going?
How you going, mate?
Good. Thank you. Just to add, Maverick, thanks for bringing up that heartbreak again. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be mentioned. At that point, it was like 0.12. Bucky Irving in the death. Yeah, you know the one.
I remember
I was
this.
screaming at the TV. Oh,
The Rashad White
that was
fumble.
the worst. Yeah, the Rashad White fumble and the death. Yeah, 2 more yards would have been the death. Would have been the kill, but that's all good. That's fantasy for you in a nutshell.
Mate,
So-
I was sweating bullets. I was like, if he could even have a catch for a loss of 8 yards, and I'm gone here. And as soon as Rashad White was on the field, I was like, well, I think we're just delaying the inevitable here. I get he's on the field, but Bucky Irving's going to get a snap here at some point. Odds are ball's going to go to him. But then Rashad White dropped it, and I was like, oh, here we go. I can make something of it. only to get knocked out the next week. So shows what that did, but that's all right.
Bittersweet.
It's been a fun year though, Mullen. It's been awesome. I know you had a really good year in our Dynasty of Insight. I know you've got a pretty good team in that league too. I know you lost in a bit of a heartbreaker, but all in all, mate, it's going to be a pretty good future for yourself anyway. So But
Yep.
at the end of the day, mate, you're in the pointy end of the year and you came up short. You just never know when your next opportunity is. That's fantasy football for you.
That's it. Brighter days ahead. Looking forward to the next season already. So if that could come any quicker, that would be perfect.
I know. But we do have the playoffs coming up, mate. And I know your Buffalo Bills are, at the pointy end of the year as well themselves. Do we think this is the year that they can make that next leap? And don't say I hope so.
I hope it is. Well, I wish DFAB was in this call. I was listening before. Broncos fan. Well, DFAB, I think the Bills absolutely make a mockery of the Broncos this weekend. So that'll be just the start.
Yes.
And then from there. But yeah, hopefully they're in a good spot. Bengals not making it too, they're always going to be a bit of a smoky if they made the playoffs. So one less thing to worry about. I'm sure the Chiefs were licking their lips when they got handed that loss today by the Broncos because of that. But yeah, no, in a good spot. Everyone's kind of healthy for the most part. So yeah, hopefully they can, Josh Allen MVP, he'll lift up that trophy, and then hopefully he'll lift up the bigger trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, mate. I'm really pumped to see how the Bills go. I'm actually pumped to see how the Ravens go too, man. It's a big year for both those franchises. Both have come up short in the last couple of years. But, mate, back on the fantasy terms, do you have any like sleepers or any picks that you liked of the year that came up large? Anyone off the waivers, even that you picked up off the waivers that came up massive? Or did you just draft too good for us?
Well, probably a bit of a sleeper that I was pretty happy about, and I had in a lot of my leagues was Jane Daniels. I was getting him, back end of the third in Superflex. Yeah, even in one league, I got him in the start of the fourth, and yeah, he came up, definitely exceeded all expectations. Even all those rookie QBs, are really exceeded expectations, I think, for the most part, probably besides Caleb Williams. But they all lifted up their number one wide receivers. Bo Nix turned in the best season that Sutton has ever had, and vice versa with McLaurin and Jane Daniels. That was, I think we were all, I know there was a lot of experts saying, it's lining up. Cliff Kingsbury could be a bit of a Kyler Murray 2.0 rookie season, kind of recap. And yeah, he crushed it. So that was one I was pretty happy with. And yeah, got him in a couple of dynasties as well. So, I'll get to hold on to him for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's been awesome, mate. And like I thought coming into the year, Scary Terry being the wide receiver one with no help, might I add, around him. I thought he might struggle. I did draft him myself because I did like him, but I did think that shit. You're going to get double teams. There's no wide receiver two. They had Zacchaeus. They had who's Yami Brown there as well. Noah Brown.
Noah Brown, the GOAT.
Yeah, like they had a lot of nothing. Let's be honest, but it didn't matter. It probably shows how good Jaden Daniels really has been this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, mate, I do appreciate you jumping in. Now, one thing I want to mention though, and I think this is very, very, very important. I'm going to try and trade you Ramondre Stevenson over the offseason. I'm going to try hard to get that one done. I think this has been a conversation that we've been talking about for a long time. But I reckon over the offseason, with the help of guns, I think we'll be able to get that one done.
Absolutely.
Well,
sorry, you go.
You go. I was just going to say, listening into earlier before, I am planning a Japan trip, so I'll probably be in a vulnerable state. You'll probably have a good opportunity later in the year.
That's where Guns is probably the most vulnerable at that point. I think he licks his lips on guys that go away on holidays and just he stays active over that time. So I appreciate Guns doing that.
Absolutely. And speaking of trade offers, now I got sent an interesting one in the Dynasty of Insight. So this pertains to you both, and I want to get both of your opinions on this.
Okay.
So I've been offered Zach Charbonnet. So I think I have Kenneth Walker in that one. So I get the handcuff, Josh Allen, and a 2025 fourth. Okay. In return, I'd give Trevor Lawrence 2 firsts, so a 2026 first and a 2027 first, a 2026 second, a 2027 second, and a 2025 second. That's a lot for Josh Allen, even though he's very, very good. That's a lot for Josh Allen.
Is it?
That is a lot, I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. He's the MVP. Looking at it, taking my Buffalo Bills bias away from a second, and putting my fantasy cap on. Josh Allen, he is getting. He's not getting a little bit old. He's about 29 at the moment. Still does it all. But considering Trevor Lawrence, I don't really think he's got too much ahead of him. Depending who the head coach is going to be, I think that's going to make a big difference to see how he kind of goes. But what I would do, I would scrap Zach Charbonnet because you've already got Kenneth Walker. You don't really want a handcuff. Don't worry about that. And I'd scrap the second. So, if you got Trevor Lawrence and a couple of firsts for Josh Allen, I think I'd do that deal. Your team's already, it knocked out me. Sadly enough, I think you probably should have got the biscuits at the end. But maybe Josh Allen, he was the kicker that you needed.
All right. Well, let's have a chat to the XRP effect in the backgrounds of this later tonight.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, mate. I might slide into his DMs too and try and get this one done before you just to cut
You'll
your.
be offering half your team up, Maverick.
Yeah. There's a few guys I can get rid of. Ramondre Stevenson being one. So.
Oh, yeah, he'll accept that. He'll accept that. Yeah.
But no, thanks, Melvin, for jumping in this year as well. I know you did one episode with us and being pretty active in all our leagues. So I appreciate you jumping in tonight, having a chin wag, and I hope you have a shit year next year.
Hey, well, I wish you all the best, Maverick and Guns. You too. Just going to be the good sport, and just be a bit humble about it. Show a bit of gratitude. But no, thank you very much for the opportunity. This year in just that one episode, it's been great, and looking forward to the new fantasy year ahead.
Perfect, mate. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
See you later.
Alrighty, Guns. That was interesting. Now, I'm surprised you didn't give him more shit, to be honest with you. I expected more out of you there. I would have gone pretty hard. I went harder than you, mate. And that says a lot.
I'm a gracious man. I'm a gracious man, and I've got so much wrong this year. I don't feel as though I'm in a position to trash talk.
Well, mate, let's bring a third bloke in who, honestly, I know he can hear us and I know he can see us right now. Honestly, shit the bed yet again. But he is an owner, so I got to be pretty nice to him as well.
Be nice.
He does look after me. But let's bring in Miko, mate. He's the older BBL AFL expert.
Oh, mate.
Welcome in, mate.
Thanks. And I'm not as gracious as Mullen. I beat you both at separate times this year, and I finished in the bottom three. So double birds.
Well, mate, I beat you in the last week to make the playoffs. So just beating you in itself. I think I've lost you 3 times. So just beating you was like, beating your dad finally. You get to a certain age where you finally start to beat people that are a bit older than you. So that felt really good, mate.
Yeah, there was a bit of Virat Kohli and Scotty Boland about it. Virat finally beat his dad, so well done.
It felt good, mate. Now, let's review how you went in our League of Insight.
Yep.
Where did you go wrong?
Oh, right from the start. So drafted terribly. I'll have to bring it up on my phone, but was that the league I had Nick Chubb in, and I waited so long, and then he did nothing.
There was a league where you drafted CJ Stroud with your first pick first of all. That's where I
thought he was in line for a breakout. So obviously the second year Blues hit pretty hard with CJ Stroud, but you have a look at the weapons that he's got with Nico Collins and the likes. Tight end in Dalton Schultz, who showed a bit last year as well, a fairly decent O-line, and his ability to run the ball. And you're like, well, there's points on offer here. He's no Josh Allen, but there's potential that he could score not similar, but not far away from that. But this year, that's definitely where I went wrong right from the start.
Mate, he looked like an absolute god last year. I mean, he won that playoff game, had a really good fantasy season his rookie year. I think he was borderline top 10 last year, Guns, from memory?
8th, I think he was, from memory.
I'll get it up now, but he was definitely way up there.
So I'm just looking at your draft now. You drafted CJ Stroud into Breece Hall, into Drake London, into Trey McBride. That was your first 4 picks. So I look at that and go, mate, you did pretty well there, right? So it's tick, 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 tick. Trey McBride was awesome. Didn't have a touchdown until about week 16.
That's right.
But all in all, just dominated the game. And then you went Amari Cooper, big bust. George Pickens, slightly okay.
He was better at the back end of the year, yeah.
Same with Ladd McConkey. Back end of the year was really good. Gus Edwards didn't really do much. Bryce Young did something at the end of the year, but by then your season's already done.
He got
Romeo
benched,
Dobbs, Jamison Williams, Luke Musgrave, Jalen Polk, Taysom Hill, Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney's a really good pick, late pick, but
his JMO.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it just shows those middle rounds is like crucial.
Oh, 100% it is, mate. I probably could have researched a little better and listened to you blokes a little bit more in the preseason. I was fairly comfortable with my my drafting at the start of the season, but it came back to bite me in the ass a little bit. And sure enough, I didn't finish bottom, did I?
No, you didn't. No.
Good.
Hang on.
Oh, that's a yes.
I couldn't have finished bottom. Nah.
Well, you did it in the regular season,
Oh,
but you didn't overall.
that's okay. Does that mean I'll get
That's
the
not
first
bottom
draft
place
pick
in
next
my
year?
eyes.
No. No.
Jadua Sanders, welcome to the Horses for Courses. Yes, sir.
No, because you'd still fuck it up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're right. Just like my
But,
BBL season at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, we're going to change tune a little bit. BBL, AFL coming up. Big years coming up for the AFL anyway. I think AFL is going to take a really, really, really good year this year. How are you looking for the AFL?
Yeah, started off really well. So I, along with a few others, Jake Skidmore, you'll find him on X as Squiddy. Him and I both host the AFL podcast here on the Insight Fantasy Network. We've also got, I'm not going to name names, but we've got the old Dr. Supercoach, who was quite popular a few years ago. He's back and he's on the Insight Fantasy Sports Network helping us out with the AFL this year. So that's big for us. He used to write some very good content back in the day. We've also got Silvertop Hurley, who's part of our Insight community with the NFL. He is going to do some stuff with us as well. He finished top 200 last year. So pretty excited to have him on board. And we've also got Deadly, who in the background has done a very, very in-depth spreadsheet. So for all of you that want to know player rankings 1 through to 300, we've got all of that there for you. He spent about a month and a half doing that up. So you'll find that on our Patreon. The description will be below.
Mate, I've seen that list. It is mega. Absolute
He's
mega.
He's put a lot of work into it, yeah.
A lot of work and done a really good job too. So shout out to Deadly. He was in our Dynasty of Insight too, and he didn't really have a good year.
No.
But
I guess from my point of view, first year for you blokes, it's been shit hot. Like, it's been really good. It's been engaging, funny. You guys take pot shots at each other. I rate it. I think it's a unique way of looking at NFL. Like, you've got the strategy behind it, but you've also got the ability to, throw barbs at each other and take the piss a little bit, which I find quite engaging. So from my point of view, you blokes have done a really good job this year.
I'm really surprised though that Guns hasn't given me a bit of flack though. He has.
I think he's holding back.
He's held back on me, and
yeah,
I did a bit more 100%. Than that.
The second year, I'll open up a little bit more, and I'll start calling some names and some choice words, and we'll get into our work that way. But got to get to know what you like as a bloke first.
Yeah, shit.
He's a shit bloke. Yeah, could have told you that from the start.
Yeah, well, there you go. Thanks.
But no, Mick, it's been awesome, man. Appreciate you jumping in. Especially in all our leagues as well, and being active. I think being active is what keeps our Insight leagues going, mate. It's just awesome stuff, and that's what Insight's all about. It's just being interactive with all our people, and creating leagues where everyone's engaging and it feels like they're having a good time.
Absolutely. We've got the strict no dickhead policy. So I'm not sure whether you blokes are PG or not, but if you want to be a fuckwit, you don't belong with us. If you want to take the piss, have a bit of fun, throw some barbs around, have it so then it's more fun than serious, then you're the type of bloke that'd enjoy our company and we'd enjoy your company. So in the years coming or in the seasons coming, if you want to get involved with our lads, drop a DM below to these guys. They'll sort you out.
Yeah, no, awesome, man. Awesome. All right, mate, I'll let you go. Appreciate you jumping in, mate.
Better get back into the BBL. Hopefully Michael Ness is ripping it up. Something huge.
Ness has got 1 and Warner's gone past 20, so we're cooking with gas here, I think.
I faded Warner.
Oh, why'd you do that?
Because I've got a strict no dickhead policy in my team.
Oh, yeah, but, a coat's a coat. You just got to separate it from being a shocking player or a shocking person to being a good player.
Yeah, I get it. But my overall
super coach. Now, how many times I have to separate shocking people from being good players?
Yeah.
Yep,
I can only imagine.
So many shocking humans in there. But,
Guns would be one of those guys that would draft Deshaun Watson.
I think I didn't. I have Deshaun Watson in a dynasty league. So
yeah,
I actually drafted him last year.
And he killed
maybe 2 leagues. Yeah.
He's off the list, mate. Never again.
Yeah, never.
And he might be never again for the Browns either.
I hope not.
I'm just hoping he he's like a bridge starter somewhere, and something happens and some magic occurs and he turns his form around. But in reality, he's more likely to end up in jail than that happening. So
Yeah,
have fun with that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
no, appreciate you, Mick. Awesome work, man.
Thank
Keep
you,
it
boys.
up. AFL's on for a massive year, and BBL's already firing. So, no,
That's it.
appreciate it, mate.
Take care, boys, and thanks again.
Cheers.
See you later.
All right, guns. Now, while we wait for Matrix to join,
Yeah.
let's look at our all value team. So now
Oh,
these
yeah,
are
okay.
players we've drafted sort of around rounds, let's say rounds 4 to all the way down the waiver wire, really. Now, in our all value team, I've started off with the QB of Jaden Daniels. No surprise.
No, he finished in the top 5. The dude's a gun. I mean, I don't mean to put the mocker on him, but there's shades of Robert Griffin the third rookie season. Like, it's pretty much like for like in terms of the stats. Yeah, all over him. What a season. He finished as the QB5, as I said. And I posit a theory that he might go, well, not might. I reckon he'll go
He
in the
will.
top 3 quarterbacks, and that'll be a consensus next year.
I don't disagree. It'd be Josh Allen Lamar, and yeah, you can probably say Jaden Daniels is, if he's not 3, he's definitely top 5, worst case. So, just with that rushing ability alone. At RB, mate, at RB1, I've put Chase Brown in there. He had an absolute monster year for if we're talking value. We said it in our preseason as well as a sleeper, that this guy was a sleeper, and he absolutely was. He was everything more than just a sleeper. He was amazing. And at RB2, I've put in Chuba Hubbard there too. So he was pretty much off the waiver wire, I reckon, in a lot of leagues. So turned out to be a top 10 RB. And, mate, he'll be pretty much a high pick next year, I'd imagine.
I think they'll both be within the first 3 rounds, which is crazy to think about.
It is.
Now, of course, there is a caveat. There's a few question marks over whether Chase Brown's a season long every down back. I think he is, but some people think maybe he's not. And who knows? Maybe we see another one there because this is a deep running back class. They could add a very good running back in the 4th round, right? So there is that. That's the one question mark I have over Chase Brown. It's not even to do with him, so he might still beat that. Then on Chuba Hubbard, the question mark is on him as a player because he's had one good season and that's it. Now we know that Jonathan Brooks isn't really going to be a factor next year and possibly not the year after, but yeah, Chuba Hubbard on ability based off last year, gun. But what are we looking at next year? I don't know. But this isn't for next year. This is for now. And he was a massive value pick.
Well, bell cow.
Bell cow. Proper bell cow.
Oh, yeah. At our 2 wide receivers, 1 and wide receiver 2, I've put Terry McLaurin there as a wide receiver 1. He was amazing. I think he finished the top 5 wide receiver at the end of the year. I think he actually busted out in the grand final week, week 16. I think he had, 2 catches or some shit. So, yeah, that would have hurt a few blokes. But all in all, mate, I think he would have got you there for a reason. So, you don't get there with that Terry McLaurin. So he had a massive year. So congratulations to him. And Brian Thomas as the wide receiver too. We're talking value. You would have got him, probably in the last 3 or 4 rounds of the draft, and he would have won you fantasy championships.
He was a gun, a proper gun. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us, LSU producing stud wide receivers. This is the Jefferson Chase 2.0, Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. And it's hard to tell who's gonna. Well, I mean, not hard to tell. Well, kind of. It's hard to tell who's gonna really break out and establish themselves first. I mean, they've both broken out this year, but can they go on with it for another year? Was it just a one off? There are a couple of question marks around them, but remarkable season from Brian Thomas. If Trevor Lawrence is healthy for a full season, which he wasn't really much this year, and if there's some better coaching in the building, I dare say he could repeat his efforts and maybe go one step further and take the overall crown.
Well, it didn't matter because he had Mac Jones coming in too, so he dominated Mac Jones. So
Mm.
it really didn't matter who was at QB. He was just really, really good for the whole year, and no, that's awesome for him. At tight end, no surprise on tight end. We've got Brock Bowers there. Ended up smashing all records. You would have got him in the 6th, 7th round, somewhere around there, and ended up just being awesome. So really, no surprise on Brock Bowers, really, is there?
No, absolutely no surprise on Brock Bowers. And there will be questions about, you know, is there a rookie tight end that could match it next year? Because we've had Sam Laporta finish as the tight end 1 last year. We've had Brock Bowers finish as the tight end 2 this year. Both had massive hype coming into the NFL. Both got drafted early. There is a bloke by the name of Tyler Warren for Penn State. He's considered unanimously the best tight end prospect. He is someone I will be leaving every draft with.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good. At flex, 2 flex positions, I've got JSN, Jackson Smith in Jigba. No surprise on that one. He had pretty much a breakout year from the second half of the year onwards. Again, would have got you to playoffs, finals potentially. He was amazing, and maybe the wide receiver one moving forward. Probably the DK's still in the house, but I mean with DK and JSN, it's still a really, really nice team there. They've got it there at wide receiver. And at the other flex position, I've put in James Cook. Now, James Cook was going like round 4, round 5, round 6, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Give or take. There's people that liked him a bit more than not, but he ended up as a top 10 RB and was awesome.
Yeah, so I've got some stats here. When we were looking back at in the preseason, I posed this. I said, "How many carries do you think James Cook could have per game?" I said 15. What if he got 15 or 15 or more, right? And when he got 15 or more in previous seasons, he was averaging 16.4 points a game, which put him as the RB8. Now, and that was in PPR, and he was being drafted as the RB14. Now, I'm just looking, he did finish as the RB8 with 16.7 points per game. I was 0.3 points per game off the season long projection for James Cook. I'm taking that as an absolute win.
That's pretty good. But again, he was just value, and we'll get back to James Cook a bit later on because I do have something for you on James Cook. But and at Superflex position, mate, I've put in Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield had a fantastic year. Again, one of those guys was going in the mid-range rounds and finished as I think it was a QB 7, 8, somewhere around there. Absolutely
QB4.
fantastic. QB4, my mistake. Had multiple games of 300 plus yards, had a couple of games of, 4 or 5 touchdowns. So all in all, mate, absolutely fantastic year for Baker Mayfield. And he's honestly, I was a bit skeptical on him last year as a top 10 QB, but now I think he is.
I think he's arrived. Obviously he put himself back in lights last year, and then he's backed it up again this year. We're going to have to put some more respect on Baker Mayfield's name, because even the thought of drafting him right now feels wrong, but I know it shouldn't be wrong.
And same with Mike Evans too. Put some respect on his name too. He's so underrated. People just forget that he exists. But he's amazing and just keeps on doing it, doesn't he? But no, that's our all value team. I don't think there was anyone there that I really missed top of my head, unless you've got anyone top of your head that you reckon I missed as an honourable mention.
Honourable mention. Shout out to Bo Nix, basically undrafted this year. QB7 finish. He started slowly. Sure, first month or so was pretty quiet, but then he kicked on from week 5 onwards. In fact, he only went below 15 points twice from week 5 to for the rest of the season. So, the dude really did ball out. In his rookie season, which I didn't rate him at all, and I documented that very strongly here. So, who shows what I know, right? And of course, people are thinking, how have you forgotten him? And I'm sort of on the same vein. The man, the myth, the legend, Bucky Irving. Bucky
Yeah.
Irving. RB 14 on the year, despite really being a non-factor until I'm gonna say uh, week 9, week 10 sort of thing. Yeah. And then, right when they needed him the most, he turned up in a big way. From week 10 onwards, I believe I've got the right times there. Week 10 onwards, 14.7, 21.2, 24.5, 1.8. It's a bit of a, I think he got injured in that one.
He did. Yep.
11.3, 15.2, 19 in the fantasy championship, and then today he got 14.4. The dude's a legend. The dude is a legend and probably a third or fourth round running back next year.
Mate, great shout out, Bucky Irving. That's another great value pick there. He's honourable mention probably. Yeah, strong honourable mention. Now I want to review our my guys as well. So I don't know if you know your my guys top of your head.
I do.
I
do
You
know
do.
my guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start with you. We're going to review our my guys. These are the 5
Yep.
guys that we really, really like coming into the year. Obviously, we're not going to pick your Jamar Chases of the world and I guess CeeDee Lambs of the world. I guess I sort of did pick a good one, but as a high draft pick, but did turn out to be a good one. But let's start with you, mate. Your 5 my guys at the start of the year were Anthony Richardson, Alvin Kamara. Yep, I'll take that one.
That was it. That's
Tick.
good. Yep.
Garrett Wilson.
That's
Question
borderline.
mark.
I mean, I think I put hype on him where I said I don't see how he doesn't finish in the top 5. I believe he finishes the wide receiver 11 or 12, maybe a bit lower. 16. Inconsistency plagued him deluxe, and admittedly didn't account for a Devontae Adams.
Yes. So I'll give you a pass on that one.
Yeah,
Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
Amari Cooper, Coach Coop. Coach Coop. He was a really good coach. Did well in the coaching department there. So that one was a fail. And your last my guy, and I've got this one in brackets for because you did mention 2 guys in your my guys that you said wasn't Tyrone Tracy. You said no. I listened back to this podcast and you said no, it's not going to be Tyrone Tracy, which would have been a good pick if you did. But you said Ben Sinnott. Now Zach Ertz is about 45 years old and he played pretty well. So that was an interesting one on your behalf on Ben Sinnott.
That did not pan out.
It didn't.
I believe the reason I didn't go with Tyrone Tracy is because just before that I had done a half an hour video breaking down Tyrone Tracy. So
Mate,
there's that.
How did you not mention him then? He's your guy.
Well, everyone was sick of him. I'm sure I mentioned in that episode. Well, obviously Tyrone Tracy would be on here, but
all you had to say was refer back to my half an hour episode of Tyrone Tracy. But he is one of my 5 my guys.
I like to keep everyone entertained. I like to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, fair
Need
enough.
to broaden my horizons, but gee, Ben Sinnott, not a good option. Wow.
Yeah, fair enough. And we'll go into my guys.
This will be good. I'm hoping this is good. I need this to be good for me.
So, my first. Do you remember mine by any chance?
I do not remember yours.
Perfect. So that makes it even better. So my first one was James Cook.
That
was my guy for me. So that one's popped off. That's come up pretty well. My second one was Jahmyr Gibbs. Now,
that's not a my guy. Come on, that's a first round pick.
But he finished as like a top 2 RB.
I think week 18 put him over Saquon, but I'm not counting week 18. Surely.
No, you don't count week 18. But with or without Monty, he's still a beast. And we had this discussion. I had him in a higher tier than what you had him in, so that's why he was my guy.
Come on.
Controversial.
I'm going for a couple of waiver wire blokes on here, or at least
that's on
one.
you, mate. That's on you.
I was just trying to be. Come on. Okay, what else he got?
Now this one didn't pan out.
Okay, good.
Zamir White. I was massive on Zamir White.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's as good as the Ben Sinnott. The Ben Sinnott one didn't do a thing. But at least
Well-
that was through a lack of opportunity, not being crap.
Well, mate, I was so chuffed after our League of Insight. When I drafted Zamir White, I thought I couldn't lose the league because I got Zamir White. Um, yeah, that one didn't really pan out that well. And neither did the next one, might I add. The next one was Jaden Reed. Now, week 2 against the Eagles, I was thinking, mate, I've fucking nailed this one. He looks everything like the next prototype inside wide receiver. And, mate, God, it was grim. So that one didn't pan out. Look, there's hope for Jaden Reed moving forward. Don't get me wrong, but this year, no. There's no hope for anyone at Green Bay at the moment at wide receiver. So
Yeah.
that was an interesting one. And my last one was Malik Neighbors. So that was that turned out to be okay.
Yeah, I did all right. Yep.
With or without Danny Dimes, that one worked out to be okay. So, mate, I reckon I'm 3 or 5 on the year, and you are 1.5.
You only giving me half a point for Gary Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. Yeah. I'll give you 2.
Yeah.
I'll round it up. I'll give you 2.
Actually,
wide
no,
receiver
probably
17.
can't because I said he was a top 5. You probably can't.
You said he's better than
you can't
Amon-Ra
give me
St.
that.
Brown.
Yeah, you can't give you that. You can't give you no.
No, I won't.
It's a 1.
That. Mate, we'll see if Matrix has got time to join in. But just before we end off, I did have our sleepers. I had my sleepers. I don't know. I couldn't really find yours, but I'm not talking about my sleepers because that didn't turn out to be that well. So I'm not going to mention them. But we're talking NFL players. Let's finish off with the NFL players, mate. Who's going to win the thing?
Oh, do I need to give a boring answer or do I give something I hope will happen?
No, tell me what you think.
I think the Chiefs get it. Sadly, it's just it's Patrick Mahomes. It's Patrick Mahomes. I could just say it again. It's Patrick Mahomes. That's all it is. It's the Chiefs' Devil's magic. It's all of it. It's Taylor Swift controlling the NFL because let's be honest, that's what's happening here. It's a Travis Kelce farewell party. It's everything you don't want it to be and more. Yeah, it's not going to be fun, but it's a Chiefs Super Bowl again. Yay!
It's interesting because they're really solid on both sides of the field. I mean, if you compare them to your Buffalo Bills, your Baltimore Ravens, your Detroit Lions, we're talking about really shaky secondaries, right? So that's probably what's going to kill them in the end is that, while the Chiefs are really good. So, mate, I don't think it's going to be the Chiefs this year. I think they're going to get beat. I don't think the Chiefs will feature in the Super Bowl, which is a very controversial take and could be really, really bad. But I think it'll be either one of the Ravens or the Bills facing off in the Super Bowl. And I think they'll be coming up against the Lions or the Eagles.
Ooh. You think the Eagles will make a run? Interesting.
I do like the Eagles. Well, I don't like the Eagles, but they're very good.
You like them for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they've been good enough all year. Hurts off the concussion might be a little bit interesting. Hopefully, for their sake, he's up and about. I couldn't care less. I hope they lose next week, to be honest. But look, you can't deny how solid they are on paper.
Oh, and you throw Saquon in there on top of their team from last year. All of their defensive rookies have come along. Like guys like Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, they've improved out of sight this year. You put all that into the equation. Yeah, they're a very, very strong team.
So my perfect world, mate, I'm probably hoping for. Let's go full offense. Let's go Bills versus Detroit.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? That'd be an amazing Super Bowl.
That would be great viewing with Kendrick Lamar at the halftime show. That would be some awesome, awesome viewing. And I think the Lions would win that too. So, Yeah, look, I'm really pumped for the playoffs. It starts this weekend. A couple of Sunday games for us to watch. So, and they're good times too. The first one's at 8:30, the second one's at 12. So, really, really pumped to tune into them. But Matrix is just doing his bedtime routine with his kids, mate. So we'll probably just hold him out short. But just quietly, I want to mention before we end off, mate, the reason why I was in this podcast was because I gave him 2 really solid dynasty picks to pick up. Year before, in 2023, it was Puka Nakua in the 4th round. And then last year, it was Bucky Irving in the 4th round. So he owes me one, mate, and he did. So I appreciate him bringing me on the show. Appreciate you jumping in, Nate, all year. It's been fantastic, good fun. We've got a lot right, but we've got a lot wrong too. So that's the beauty about fantasy football.
They are absolutely, and they are going to love what we've got in store next year, I imagine. I'm already thinking about the NFL draft and where people are going to land and who to draft. I've already come up with some consensus rankings for each positions. Fantasy football never sleeps, man. You spoke about it before. You can stay active in the trade market. You can plan for next season. It is all happening. All I know is that if Ted McMillan is not the 101 next year, then Ashton Genty. See, these are the sorts of discussions we got to have.
He could be
McMillan
the
or Genty,
Cowboys.
101. If Genty's at the Cowboys, he's the 101. But then, if McMillan's catching passes from Drake May, all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's a lot to unpack. There's going to be a lot to unpack. Dynasty never sleeps. Fantasy football never sleeps. If you're sleeping in Dynasty, then you're the one that's losing. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, mate, as I said, appreciate you jumping in all year, mate. It's been awesome. Yep, we'll be back next year for some more content. Well, not next year, this year. Probably a bit of an off season, but we'll be back. But
how long is the off season going to be realistically? Like a few months, 4 months, maybe?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
5 months because it's May, isn't it? That's when it all happens.
Yeah,
but yeah, it has been great doing this show with you. It's been very enjoyable talking fantasy football. Been great doing it on the Insight Network, and looking forward to what's in store next year with new faces into the league, new faces and new places that we don't even know yet. And I'm just keen as to rip in.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. So let's finish it off there. Matrix has missed out. Pretty much says his whole fantasy season as well. He lost. He had a shit year. Lost a couple of finals, so that's pretty much where he's at. So yep, mate. If you don't mind, subscribing, and jumping into our Patreon as well. We'll be pretty active over the off season. Our Patreon, trying to get you involved in dynasty news and I guess sort of dynasty advice, really. Because as I said before, dynasty never sleeps. So appreciate you all joining in for the year, and see you again soon.
See you later.